Today we're talking about meal prep. So what I like to do is either clean out the fridge when we're doing a meal prep sort of day, and think about the day in your week where you kind of have a little extra time to spend in the kitchen doing a bunch of things all at once. So you could be making chili one night, but double it and then freeze parts of it for another time when you're going to need something convenient to find in the freezer or whenever. Today we're making a really big batch of salad. So I like to think of the meal prep ideas as something that you're going to need in a hurry, whether it's for lunch, on the go, taking it to work, or if you're running late in the evening and you just need a really quick, nutritious meal, and it's going to save you from heading to the drive-thru or getting takeout, or just finding those convenient, quick foods that maybe aren't so healthy. So today we're making a grain and lentil veggie salad. It's going to be a big bunch that you can put into smaller containers when we're done, so that you can just grab that small container when you're on the run, or you can keep it in a big batch and you just portion it out for you and your family. Today we're going to cook with some green lentils, and I've soaked them overnight. Same with the quinoa. I've got a little batch of quinoa here and I want to get them started. So while these are cooking, we're going to prep our vegetables that will go into the salad and the dressing. The dressing is super easy. Don't be intimidated by making your own dressing. It's way better than store-bought. It's super fresh and you're going to enjoy the whole salad a lot more. I'm going to cook the quinoa and the lentils with our stock that we made last week. So you just want to, with lentils, the cooking is 1 to 3 ratio. So when I say that, if you're cooking 1 cup of lentils, you want 3 cups of liquid. I'm not going to measure this out. I'm going to give you the measurements, but I can kind of eyeball it. I just have a bit of stock. I don't think I have enough for both, but it's really just to flavor the water a little bit more and add some nutrients back in. So if you have a look, as long as they've been soaked thoroughly and they're covered in the liquid, then they should cook pretty well. I'm gonna get those lentils going. And the reason I really like quinoa and lentils is because they take about the same amount of time to cook. So that works really well. You don't want to be standing over a pot for a long time. And they're both very nutritious. They complement each other really well. So I wanted to call these grain bowls, but quinoa is actually not a grain. It's actually a seed, even though you would usually find it. It's used like a grain. You can find quinoa flour, and but it is a seed and it's very, very nutritious. It's actually a complete protein of its own. So that means you don't need the other amino acids that you would find in lentils to have a complete protein. So this will be a very satisfying meal. You don't need to add any extra meat or anything like that, or eggs, but you could if you wanted to. The reason we soak our lentils and our grains, or in this case our quinoa, is to actually start the sprouting process of the legume or the grain or the seed. So that actually starts the enzymatic process of sprouting, which means it releases all kinds of nutrients. It starts to break down a lot of the carbohydrates, the starches that are in both of these things, and it increases their nutritional content. By soaking them overnight, you're also getting the water in there, so it takes a lot less time to cook them, and it makes them easier to digest. It's just all around a good process for just about everything. So we're going to bring this up to a boil and then just let it simmer for about 15 minutes. The lentils will take about 15 minutes, and then the quinoa will be about 12 to 15. Just keep an eye on it. You just want to bring it to a simmer. And then while that's going, we're going to make our dressing. So I like to make really simple dressings that are super tasty. This is one of my favorites to go with the components that we're putting into the salad today. So I love cilantro. If you don't love cilantro, that's okay. You don't need to use it. You could have some parsley or mint. I do have a little bit of mint as well in the dressing. You don't even need a separate container for this. I have some ground cumin, salt, and pepper, and I'm going to add lemon juice and olive oil, and that's it. So I've got it already in the bottom of my bowl, and then we're just gonna add all of the ingredients to the bottom of the bowl with it. And then you just mix it in together. Don't have to be fancy. Squeeze in some lemon juice. If you see some seeds fall in, just take them out with your fork. And I don't usually follow a real recipe. I just kind of go by taste and by sight. Just sort of what looks and feels good to you. The ingredients that I'm putting in the salad is really just because I was cleaning out the fridge. You could do the same, or you could go in with a solid plan and go to the grocery store beforehand and spend your Sunday afternoon making salad, or a batch of chili, or a big batch of soup, or if you like casseroles. Whenever you're making them, just double it up and then freeze it. I think it's the best way to avoid having to resort to takeout once in a while. You know, save yourself some money and some extra unneeded calories. So just mix that up a little bit, and then I'm just using my fork. I'm gonna drizzle in some olive oil. Typically with dressings, you want 1 part acid to about 3 parts olive oil. That's the general rule. I like my dressings just a little bit more on the acidic or tart side, so I usually keep it just a little less oil, but it's all dependent on your taste. And if you're using lemons, you might want to give it a taste and see how tart your lemons actually are. So I'm just going to give that a little taste before I toss in my veggies. That's good. This is where you might want to add a little extra salt. All right, what do I want to start with? I have a pepper. I'm just gonna dice up a pepper. I've got my compost bowl sitting here. I always find that helpful when you're doing a lot of chopping. Keep everything kind of tidy, and it'll go a lot faster and easier. I'm cutting up some sweet yellow pepper here, and we're gonna put that in. If you're feeding your young children and you just want to be mindful of how big the pieces are that you're cutting or how hard it is. So I have a carrot here that I found in my refrigerator. And instead of dicing it up, like I like that crunch, but instead of dicing it up, I'm going to actually use my box grater and grate it into the salad. So it's going to get kind of mixed in there really well, and it'll be easier for young children to eat. You don't have to use raw vegetables either. You could use leftover roasted vegetables from your dinner if you still have some, or roast up a bunch of vegetables. I love having extra roasted vegetables, so that's another tip too. If you're doing it and you've got the space in your oven, which you often do, just fill up a tray with some vegetables, a little salt and pepper, and some olive oil, and keep them left over to make a nice salad. I'm gonna grate the carrot and throw that in. if I had a beet, I would grate up a beet and have like a pink salad that week. I think that's super fun too. Kids love when things are pink and purple. It's just like a little bit more exciting than when things are always green or brown and beige. I've got a stalk of celery. I'm gonna cut it up pretty small. I think if you had some pickles or olives in the fridge to use up, that adds like a nice little punch if you like them. Throw them in, just a handful, just for something interesting. I've got like half a sweet onion left over here. I'm going to throw that in. And all of this stuff in my bowl, I think I'm probably actually going to throw into my next bag of scraps for another batch of stock. You can just hear that my quinoa is sounding like it's almost done. I'm going to turn the quinoa off. Looks done to me. Keeping my stem end on once again. I'm just going to turn this part of an onion into small dice. There, I've got that. Toss it in the salad. I've got a little bit of leftover mint from another recipe. I didn't need it. It's starting to wilt a little bit, so I'd like to get that in. Tomato. Like I said, this is based on your family's preferences and also, you know, what you have kicking around in your fridge or wherever. But this is a great way to get just extra nutrition and wherever you can. If you've got a bunch of kale, I've got some arugula in the fridge. I'm probably going to toss that in. Kale can stand up for a while in a salad with dressing and stuff. Arugula might get a little bit soggy, so I might not do that, but it is better than maybe like any other kind of lettuce that you might use. Well, that was just a few vegetables from my fridge, and I'm gonna show you, but like this bowl is half full of wonderful vegetables. The dressing's in the bottom, and we've still got the quinoa and lentils to add. So this is gonna be like a pretty big batch of salad that you can divide up for lunches for a few days. You probably don't wanna keep this any longer than about 5 days, but it probably won't even last that long. You're gonna wanna eat it every day. Your kids will love it. especially if they help you make it. So we just want the quinoa to cool a little bit before we toss it in. You don't want it wilting the vegetables. It absorbed all of the liquid, so I'm not going to rinse it because I want all the flavor in there. But the lentils, I think they're just about done, and you'll know by testing them. So they look like they're splitting open, which is a good sign. They're plumped up for sure. They've absorbed a lot of the liquid. And then you just want to taste them. Oh yeah, they're definitely done. And they're going to be soft and kind of mushy on the inside. Don't go too far with them because then they'll just like kind of explode into a mushy mess. So that's it, and I'm going to drain them and then rinse them under cold water. Let them drain because you don't want to add all of that liquid into your salad. It'll be a little bit too wet. And I think just for a little extra fun and flavor, we're going to throw in a little bit of feta cheese. This is also a great place to get your kids to help you out, especially if they love cheese. And I don't know too many kids who don't love cheese, but get them. They could chop this up if they're kind of getting used to using a knife a little bit, or just get them to crumble it right into the salad. And as I said before, I love cilantro. I've got mine, it's got the roots on it still, so I've got mine sitting in a container with just a little bit of water at the bottom. You can do this when the roots aren't on it, and it'll still help it to last longer. With most herbs, you can do this and it'll make them last for a couple weeks longer. And then once it's in the container, I put a plastic bag just kind of draped over the top too, and that helps keep the moisture in, the humidity in, and the cilantro will stay nice and fresh, probably for close to 2 weeks. So I'm just cutting off a big chunk. I think that's a nice big handful. Give it a wash. Just a rough chop. Okay, I think we can toss our quinoa into the salad. And you know your quinoa's done cooking when it's fluffed up. You can taste it too. And you want it to be just a little bit chewy, not too wet, but not starchy. And it'll be cooked through. Still a little bit warm. Spread it out, let it cool. We can throw our lentils in on top. Toss everything together. Ooh, so pretty. You could smell it. It's so fresh smelling. Make sure you get all of the dressing all over, and then give it a taste again. And if you need some more dressing, you can throw in some more lemon juice or some more olive oil, whatever you like to your taste. You might need to add a little bit more salt and pepper. I'm just going to give this a little taste. I think it's good. Might add a little bit more salt. But there you have it. We're going to put it into a couple of big containers, and my older kids will come and serve themselves some lunch. But like I said, you could put them into jars, or if you have some small plastic containers, you can use those too. But this is a meal I think that'll be your go-to, and it'll keep you from heading to takeout or to your pantry with all your junk food in it. Thanks for watching. I hope you're all well.